There we go. Right.
Welcome to Prickly Pear Showtime presents What If They Laugh at Me, a one-man show by Clive Oseman featuring Nayma Chamchoun. I am reading from a script here, just in case you wondered how eloquent I've become in the last few minutes. After our spectacular, and it's a script made by Ashley, so it's really good. After our spectacular January Prickly Pear Showtime, which if you attended was just amazing, it became clear that you all love this format. We do too. And it was apparent we needed to do it again. And we didn't have to blink. I love the fact this rhymes, Ashley, to think of who we wanted to lift up this high for our second event. Both Ashley and I saw Clive live, obviously, rhymes. And he performed his one-man show, What If They Laugh at Me? We were adamant we had to bring this to the online stage and to our international audience. So, as it should be with a stow shopper. Did you get that, Clive? I did that just for you. We also need an incredible feature to support them, and we're incredibly delighted and honoured to be lifting the delicious voice that is Nayma Chamchoun. So buckle up for the ride of 2024. That's Ashley's words. I wouldn't normally say that. What If They Laugh at Me is a one-man comedy show, and we've said it tells a story of one person's battle to overcome severe shyness and lack of self-esteem to achieve a burning ambition to entertain and bring laughter to audiences. It's told in a unique and sometimes serious, but often hilarious manner, highlighting the battles within a turmoil through to the sheer joy of seeing, I was going to say demons come true, dreams come true. I can't read.
If you want demons instead, that's fine.
Demons can come true. But is the battle ever really won? Just a reminder, Prickly Pear run events for disabled folk and our allies, and we aim to make the spoken word scene accessible to all. We like to shine a light on all disabilities, whether physical or mental, hidden or unhidden. So this is just a perfect show for our event. But before we get to Clive's one-man show, I'm going to hand over to Ashley, who's just going to tell you about Nayma, who's our feature.
Hey everybody, yeah, we're going to start the show with a gorgeous warm-up to get you going, get your ears ready for Clive later, and also because they are fantastic. So we're going to give you Nayma first. Nayma Chamchoun, got a bio for you. She is a British Moroccan, self-taught writer and poet. Her writing is influenced by her cultural duality. She is interested in female voices in the diaspora community, the challenges they face within both communities, and the taboos around mental health within their ancestral communities. Really important work that you do there, Nayma, honestly. Nayma is an active member of London's vibrant poetry and spoken word community, the international poetry community online, and has performed her work at several poetry open mic events, including the Grenfell 5-year anniversary, and had her work featured on West Wiltshire Radio and BBC Radio London several times. That's impressive. Her published poetry collection, COVID, The Wordy Wilds of a Mind Under Lockdown, is a cultural fusion poetry collection which explores themes of identity, duality, displacement, loss, race, feminism, culture, family, love, and the search for inner peace as experienced alongside the effects of mental health, menopause, the pandemic, and world events. Really, really powerful book. We will get Nayma to pop their links in to buy their book as well after they've performed. But for now, give it up for the amazing, are you ready, Nayma? You're up now. I'm going to put you on spotlight, sweetheart, but up now is Nayma. So whenever you're ready, my darling.
Thank you. Apologies in advance to those of you who've heard some of these pieces many times. No filter. This is me. Here I sit, growing into my age jacket, accepting my invisibility, rebuking my fragility. Am I irrelevant? Wearing my wrinkles as a sackcloth and ashes? Should I reinvent myself for the applause of the social media masses? Twits twittering on Twitter, showcasing shells on Insta, scrolling and trolling, perfecting personas on FB, a photoshopping melee, a veil of airbrush sadness. I need more, because I am less, filtering faces, not words, subsisting on praises, captive in light cages. The eyes don't see me, the ears don't hear me. Should I put on my filter and dance to the hollow beat of a digital trance? A pound of flesh under the knife, erasing evidence of a lived life, fattening up my lips and arse. A fatted calf is a stranger, berates me in the looking glass. Are my eyebrows on fleek? Am I scathingly savage enough? Am I too woke or not enough? I log in and await your critique. Let's celebrate the cover, not the book. Post a pic as the panel rates you. Have an opinion, and we hate you. Immersing ourselves in the virtual brook. I have wandered the London streets, donning my expiry as an invisibility cloak, as the gaze of the lit quickly retreats, for dissolving into the city's big smoke. I have sat with Elliot as we shared despair, after shop worn, shared niceties, over tea and cakes and ices, exchanging troughs and peaks, as we laughed and cried, bitching with Bukowski, waving to Sylvia as we died inside. Empty voices filling the space with speech, their flawless faces behind a screen, me out of touch, them out of reach. We're reality in the virtual scheme. I have haunted the void in between. Should I question the truth whilst believing the lie? The hordes flock to TikTok, famous for 15 minutes. To shock, to rock, to mock, to exhibit without limit. But I am old, and the light in their eyes has died. Thank you. And the second piece. The Tate. In the Tate, on my Todd, a collage of observers lazily oozes through the masters and their muses. A spill of nodding dogs, curbed conversations, knell hollowly, une cage de la folie, captured culture in gold baroque frames, suckling on past glories, inspired by their beauty, civilized groupies, the modern day bourgeoisie, a painted gaze, escorting you around the room, gushing expression, lingering question, time in her elected costumes, a place of restful rumination, where still life stills discontent, and the rich colours warm, where disassociation finds the art of quelling separation. Thank you. On the grind, dressed in the threads of adulthood, forging the bonds that bind together in troubled times, when you can't see past the wood, harvesting and investing, delayed gratification, grafting out of your station, consume time without digesting, dreams of someday. Get your foot on the property ladder, save on indulgences, and work harder. All work and no play. Put in the hours to rise, a promotion or bonus for Jack, greasing the cogs to pick up the slack, strangled by the tie that ties. Grind your bones to make his bread, in a suit suited for ambition. Silence mental health's attrition. There is no success for the dead. Sacrifice for the future. Feather your pension to cushion the blow. Retire abroad in a rustic chateau. Eider down for the stupor. A partner to shoulder the burden. A mortgage to swallow your labour. Life's force fueling the conveyor. Together, picking out curtains. Thank you. Limbo. Africa calling. A convoy in the shadows. Constant and ever present. A home, but not a home. Anointing my edges. Still, I fit nowhere. Here, my name is foreign. My appearance questioned. But where are you from? Originally, probes Goldilocks, cornfields in her hair. I have reconciled with the damp, dark streets, pierced by dimples of obtrusive, artificial light, illuminating an artificial pond. The dry wit and caustic humour, the sarcasm, the armour we wear, the sleazy, sullied snickers, Wardry backstreet jokes, The women who reject gazing at the floor, audaciously holding his stare, the jangle of frenetic city life, the busy lives of others, filtering into our busy breaths, in the darkened alcoves and desolate cubicles of existence. Sartre echoed, "You are in bad company." The clattering coffee shops, amid sips of acrid Arabica, the inane monologues on current affairs, clandestine consultations, a temporary respite, soaked in caffeine and butter pastries. London calling, cosmopolitan and enthralling. It is the home of a lodger, the key to the kingdom, presenting the illusion of belonging without belonging. The solitude as natural as blinking. There, my name is familiar, my appearance fusing with the dry alleyways and whitewashed facades, facing off the sun in the hodgepodge pavement cafes, where once Ginsberg and Jean Genet supped on mint tea, where tolerance is privately practiced, but never publicly preached. The lamb and cumin infused air that coils and slithers before reclining across your skin like an impermeable veil. The language of my ancestors, tinged with my Britishness, my speech fluent, yet betraying, as wide-eyed locals chuckle like a pacifying parent. You're not from here, are you? In the Medinas, the night sky turns down the heat as families parade in their best attire. Sunflower seeds whose saltiness fizzes on the tongue, sugar-roasted peanuts washed down with canary iced lemonade. The men who walk belligerently, their eyes betraying the indignity of a shameless woman who refuses to look away. The crested clay tagines joyously bubbling away. Terracotta, fat, jolly uncles. The enticing wisps of flavour, the fragrance of l'enfance, the gnawa drum beats, a throbbing pulse, dancing, chanting, healing, a portal to the beloved on the wings of a trance, a cultural hub that captivates and offends, a shared identity, an organic pond, rich with community, kindness, support, love. To serve is to be with Allah. The allotted roles, deeming marriage and its fruits the paragon of ambition, gender hindered, scornful eyes from the arbiters of decency as I light my cigarette. I am without decency, without God, casting off the shackles of both, the dogma of belief or illusion, in the clutches of tradition, bleeding, bequeathed injury, spurred on by my scars. You're not from here, are you? The cross of the diaspora, life's longing for the other, each suit offering some comfort, but ill-fitting nonetheless. Thank you. How am I for time?
Yep, you're good for time, mate.
Mapping the void. It is strange that one should feel so empty when the anatomy is stacked with life-enabling components. Where does one find the emptiness? Does it reside in the chambers of the heart, expanding with every slight until the seams tear apart? Maybe in the lungs, asphyxiating the bronchioles, squeezing out breaths as you gasp and wheeze. Perhaps in the waste to the limbic nodes, extinguishing sparks of hope as you wade through the dark, where emptiness finds a home, a thirsty drop trickling into the briny, deep, swaying the tide of the sea, quenched by our humanity, the shadows sustained by the light, sometimes crashing against shores, others cooling our toes, occasionally rising like sea foam. Thank you. I am not Berber. I am not a Berber, the barbarian of Greek generals and Roman raiders, cowering in the dust, conquered and crushed. Illegitimate invaders, marauding coveted minerals, advancing your empires further. The enemies at the gate, the carpeted caliphates, a pie divided in two, half for me and half for you. Gracias. Merci. Adieu. I am a powerful Amazi who has smirked at adversity for thousands of years, flicking dusty tears, sipping warm mint tea. A Syra dripped from the wounds of the nomad fraternity, rising stronger out of the debris. My tongue peppered with Arabic, French and Spanish, souvenirs I cannot vanquish. My words, an oral history of defeat and victory, immersed in rhythmic Maghreb music. I cannot be erased or silenced by the creed of the conquerors with their patriarchal parlance. I am of Al-Kahina and the conjurers, a matriarchal warrior queen. Neither faith nor power can defeat a heart forged in desert heat. Beware my spectacular spleen. Sands scattered by the winds, I travel across the globe in Al-Maghrib woven robes and olive rose skin. One day you will say Berber, and I will see our ancestors, the civilized and the barbarian, the Amazi, the invader, the jailer, and liberty's dame. I will face you with fervor as I majestically assume my role. Hear my ululations rising above tribulation. Throughout history, I am Amazi. Thank you. Do I have time for one more?
Yeah, go on. We're going for an interval about 10 past, so if it's like a couple of minutes, go for it.
Sure, just a short one. Where the birds don't fly. The places where buildings crumble like sandcastles. The sky coloured ashen with explosive residue, where the sacrificial lambs wage power's battles. The borders flooded by the advancing tides, rushing towards safer sands, propelled by a hostile surge, taking only their frantically bagged lives. The homes where the sirens turn the blood cold. The blasts increasingly louder. Young, fearfully questioning eyes find no answers. Strategic chaos takes hold. In the ruins, where the tears run dry, reclaim the dead from the debris. Only the dead are free. Without a song, where the birds don't fly. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Everybody feel free to unmute and applaud that fantastic performance. Mayton, bring your spotlight
Wow,
in
that
that little
was
look in your face.
absolutely, yes.
Oh, yeah,
Just
unmute.
stunning.
Give them
Oh my God.
praise. Oh, that was amazing. Yeah, no, I'm glad you did an extra one. Never
Love
been
it's
that,
updated.
love
really
that.
some sort of
Yeah.
combined BBC, PBS special.
How lucky are we to have this tonight? And never, ever, ever apologise for repeating poems that you've
No.
shared before. I said to you the other day, Nayma, and I stand by this. It's like good music. Why would we only listen to it once? We want to hear
Exactly.
it again and
I
again.
love that analogy.
It's true
Yep.
though, isn't it? Yeah. And we are lyricists, poets. We're all one and the same kind of artist. So yes, we want to hear those poems again. I love hearing something that I've heard before that I enjoyed. I sit there and go, oh, I like this one. It's one of my favourites. And I actually perk up more and I hear more. So
Yeah.
yeah, honestly, own it and embrace it because we
Check
love
the
it.
chat because you've got people saying they hear new things in the poetry that you read. I do. It was beautiful, Nayma. Thank you so much for bringing your words here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
impossible to get everything just by hearing it once. So that's an important reason to do them more than once.
Exactly, Michael, spot on. Just so everybody knows, we're going to a bit of an interval now. I'm going to pause the recording so you can go make yourself a fresh brew or nip the toilet, whatever you need to do. I'm sure you know your own ways to your own toilets. And we'll come back about 1:15. And at that point, Kate's going to introduce the main event, which is Clive. So yeah, take a couple of minutes, breathe, and yeah, I'm going to hit pause. So straight to Clive.
We are back after the interval. I have the pleasure of introducing Clive Oseman, this unknown poet. Clive Oseman is a much loved, actually that's not in the bio, but I've added it, Clive, because you are. Swindon-based Brummie poet, spoken word artist, promoter, comedian, satirist, workshop facilitator, and storyteller with a liking for the surreal. He's also a multi-slam winner, I know because he beat me, and has 3 times competed in the UK Slam finals. He's performed at festivals and headlined around the UK and internationally, including performing at the New York City Poetry Festival on Governor's Island in 2022. And we all know how much he loves going back. His 3rd collection, It Could Be Verse, was published by Black Eyed Peas Publishing in 2020, and his 4th is imminent. Ooh, exciting. What If They Laugh at Me has been performed in towns and cities around the UK. I've been delighted to be there at a couple of those. So I'm going to give you that intro to the show. What If They Laugh at Me? It's a one-man comedy spoken word show by Clive Oseman, telling the story of one person's battle to overcome severe shyness and lack of self-esteem to achieve a burning ambition to entertain and bring laughter to audiences, told in a unique, sometimes serious, but often hilarious manner, highlighting the early battles with inner turmoil through to the sheer joy of seeing dreams come true. But is the battle ever really won? Over to you, Clive.
Right, okay, I'm just going to get rid of my fizzog. Hang on a minute. That's better. Okay, so this is possibly the last performance ever, so thanks for coming. And yeah, it's a great pleasure to be doing this, and I'm really looking forward to...
Hello, Clive. Remember me? I've been out of your life for a while, right?
Not
Well, I've not
now.
gone away. I've been lurking, just waiting to strike on a night like tonight, so I can delight in crushing you when it matters most and the stakes are high. I like to do that. It's my modus operandi. It always hurts more if I choose my moments. It makes me such a fierce opponent to let you be foolish and begin to believe, think you'll achieve some of the things you long for and need. You don't need success. It'd be wasted on you. If people liked you, what would you do? You're stupid and awkward and poor company. I'm your lifetime companion. You could never dump me because you are inferior. Whose voice are you hearing when I say that, Clive? Your ex-wife's? Your father's? Your mother's? Your daughter's? You know they couldn't all be wrong, don't you? I have no control over which voice you hear, but I can control you with your fear. You know that, of course. I've done it before, and will knock you back down to the floor every time you open the door to me. And you can never refuse to grant me entry. You're the servant, I'm the gentry. You'll never be free. When things appear to be going well, I'll take you to that private hell within your subconscious, a prison cell that chains you, closes your mind to anything but what I have to tell you. You came here thinking people were interested in the feeble words you have to share. I know. But look at the disdain in their stare. Feel the contemptuous air that fills the room. You wear the cloak of a loser, and that's all they see. Your efforts and battles are invisible to them, because you don't exactly rattle any cages. You don't carpe diem. I flatly refuse to let you do so. You are a slave to my intent, and you will wonder where your hope went on those days when there is no one to talk to. No one answers your calls. I say how you have no one at all, and you'll never have the balls to doubt me. No one cares for you. You're not worth the effort. So you have an indefinite sentence. I am your jailer, your owner, and I make you a loner because that's what suits me best. So remember, whatever you do, no one is ever impressed. You were, you are, and always will be a gibbering mess. Forget any hopes you had of success. You're a nuisance. You're useless. There is no inducement for anyone to show any interest. You're mine, and I shall keep you suppressed. And just when you feel the corner is turned, I'm bigger and stronger when I return.
I've heard that voice all my life, mocking, baiting, denigrating, and it can be quite exasperating as my hopes are lacerated. I have a sense of humour and I like the sound of laughter, but the problem is what comes after. A mind conditioned by abuse finds any slight excuse to believe that they're laughing at me rather than with me, that any compliments are born of sympathy but they secretly ridicule me. How could I not think that, when the inner voice keeps coming back to remind me of my past? How could I ever stand tall and bask in self-belief when this insidious thief steals perspective and inflicts such grief? I knew I had to beat it. The joy was there if I could release it, and eventually I learnt that if I find something funny, I'm unlikely to be alone. And in these times of doom, I had to find the backbone to speak out, lift the gloom with the idiocy of my imagination, the absurdity of a world twisted by a childlike brain. I can't claim to have killed that voice. It will still rejoice in one bad gig if it decides that I'm getting too big for my boots that I have to wear. But for now, just for now, I think I'm getting there. And it was a friend who said to me there was no voice. It was me, beating myself. A classy way of calling me a wanker, I thought. And it did make me paranoid enough to search my home for hidden cameras. But eventually, I thought they might be right. Not that I'm a wanker, of course, don't be silly. Perhaps I'm my own worst enemy. Then one day, I was watching a rerun of Postman Pat, as all men of my age do. Don't they? Oh, okay. So anyway, I looked at him and it struck me that he looked proper shifty. His eyebrows are too close together for one thing. I believe he's had a few quid out of birthday cards in his time. And it got me wondering why we automatically assume children's characters are good and wholesome. So I did some digging and soon realised what a bunch of filth our kids are being encouraged to idolise. This is what I found. Humphrey the chunky West Country monkey had uncomfy rumpy pumpy with the grumpy numpty Humpty Dumpty. Donald Duck was out of luck in the quest for a fuck, and he fussed and cussed how much this sucked. So he hired a quack whore for $40. SpongeBob SquarePants had some bants with a man from France, but the man from France started to rant, and at a glance produced a lance. Poor Bob cracked, cacked his pants and ended up in an ambulance. Postman Pat had a secret stash of lots of smack and crack and hash. He was a very brash chap who got into scraps when out on the lash, and only his cat knew he was EDL fast trash. Tom and Jerry got very merry on a bottle of sherry and jumped on the ferry to County Kerry. Tom felt a rumbling in his belly, Jerry's legs turned to jelly, and he ended up in Peri Peri. Rupert the bear had a bit of a scare. He ripped himself open on the broken chair, and they tried to stuff him with Donald Trump's hair. But the glare he gave them said, "Don't you dare. I'd rather be dead than have any Trump in there." And Stormy Daniels agrees, to be fair. All children's heroes have an alternative story, some full of glory, some pretty gory. But what they never told you on Jack and Ori was Peppa Pig's grandma got shagged by a Tory. And I'm a bit worried now that you might think I'm weird for watching Postman Pat. It just happened to be on, all right? Just before my documentary about the impact of neoliberalism on civil society and non-profit advocacy, so I only watched the end. Honest. But, of course, in the age of the internet, thieving post people are less of a threat than internet scammers. Most people get offered vast fortunes by fake foreign princes in exchange for their bank details. Me? I'm deluged with people recently widowed looking for trustworthy people to take care of their late wife's baby grand piano. Why they choose a complete stranger on the other side of the world to take care of this treasured item remains a mystery. Until I realise I would have to pay the storage costs, until they can send it to me, and the shipping costs. They'll need my bank details because they've had to downsize their home, you see, and they haven't got room. I like to reply to potential scams in a ridiculous way. Like yesterday, I received an email from someone calling themselves Ethan, which simply said, "Did you receive the email I sent you about 2 hours ago?" And this was my reply. "Dear Ethan, yes I did, thank you. I apologise for the tardiness of my reply. I usually reply to strangers very quickly. My personal best is 17.92 seconds, so this is disputed because I had a strong wind behind me. My average is 39.26 seconds. It used to be better, but I didn't quite know how to respond to the email from the ghost of Frank Sinatra. In this case, the delay was caused by my computer bursting into flames when I opened the email. And in trying to escape the flames, I fell down the stairs I haven't got and landed on the burglar who hadn't just gained entry. The police took a long while not to arrive. I'm sorry. I would have used my smartphone, but it was having a day off and wearing jeans and a t-shirt. Do you know Ethan is Old English for Satan? No, neither did I. Anyway, I have a question to ask you. Are you, by any chance, distantly related to Rudyard Kipling? I know that may seem a rather random question, but I have a badge which says I've met a relative of Rudyard Kipling, and being an honest kind of guy, I can't wear it until I have. Right, okay, so now we've got all that out of the way, you no doubt want to know my password. When you provide evidence of your relationship with Rudyard and send me a packet of fucking kiss my ass, you scamming bastards, I'll get back to you. Power to the penguins. Yeah, so that was my reply. And the other scam that many people fall for this, and it's the supposedly fun Facebook questions that are really just fishing for your passwords and the answers to your security questions. I compiled a list of these questions, which literally hundreds of thousands of people obligingly answer, and imagine an interview where I gave bizarre answers the way banal questions should be answered. So this is an interview with Facebook. So, Clive, where were you born? I was born, because that's how Facebook talks. Don't deny it. That's the voice you hear when you're reading Facebook. That is the voice you hear. So, Clive, where were you born? I was born in a small town just outside Wedlock. I'm not sure where that is, I can't find it on the map, and every time I asked my mother, she said I was a bastard. She never had much patience with me, she has a lot to answer for. What was the name of your first pet? I was never allowed pets, so I got very attached to my pillow. I used to take it for walks. I mean, not on a lead, obviously. I mean, I didn't want people to know. I used to stuff it up my jumper. It didn't really have a name. Then one day, it suffocated my uncle. I think it did the world a favour, but it had to be put down or taken away for forensic examination, as the police euphemistically called it. That made me sad. What colour was your first car? It was rust-coloured, with a brown interior. The interior wasn't always brown, but my passengers had a collective loss of control as I hurtled through a built-up area at 130 miles an hour on a foggy night. I always had to keep the windows open after that. I never really did get rid of the smell. As a child, what did you want to be when you grew up? It's a bit embarrassing, but okay. A lamppost. I always had a strange fascination with lampposts. I didn't see the light until I was 18. The council wouldn't give me a job because I wasn't the standard design, so I went freelance. It was okay in the summer, but winter was a challenge, and having dogs peeing all over me wasn't nice. It made me wonder why people didn't just stick to pillows. They have much better hygiene and are useful for getting rid of arrogant relatives. What was your mother's maiden name? Yeah, I'm going to tell you that, aren't I? She had a double-barrelled name, which in those days meant you were upper class, not from a broken home, or so she said. It was Security Question. Miss Ansia Security Question. Everyone knew her as Anne. Which great English writer were you? Shakespeare. I don't write my own plays either. What's the first thing you remember being told by your father? That the tooth fairy was skint, and had to borrow the money from my piggy bank, then got knocked down by a bus before she could pay it back, and Santa Claus was at the wheel of the bus and had been arrested. It's a Saturday night and you're 16 years old. What are you doing? Okay, so what was I doing as a 16-year-old on a Saturday night? Borstal. I was doing Borstal. And wanking, obviously. If your age was flipped, how old would you be? Since you ask, I'd be 99. Unless I was standing on my head, then I'd be 66. Who knew standing on one's head could make one younger? And one more question. Why are you still single? Because I stink, and I have an enormous nose. The size of the hooter is in itself not a major issue, but it's considered weird renting out my right nostril to holidaymakers. Body tourism, it's called. Visiting unusually large body parts, or parts which are appropriately named in relation to the person they belong to. This week, they rent my right nostril. Next week, the arsehole of Nigel Farage. Never, ever the other way round. Oh no. And the look of disbelief on your faces tells me you'd never rent out your bodily places, and that's your loss, not mine. It beats working on the production line. I don't have to work, and I'm doing just fine. But yes, the real problem is that I stink. Gentleman looking for lady for long-term relationship must have good sense of humour, be related in some way to Rudyard Kipling, have no sense of smell, and be willing to tolerate tenants up his nostrils. Is not a good profile for Plenty of Fish. I think they think I'm a lunatic. Oh well, who needs love anyway? And of course, direct scams aiming to get your bank details or your passwords are not all you have to worry about online. in the catastrophe that was and is the pandemic, conspiracy theories and self-styled experts are all over the internet, particularly on YouTube, where all sorts of lunatics spout unsubstantiated crap and gain masses of followers. Some of them make a lot of money, so I figured if you can't beat them, join them. So, when this event is over, I want you all to subscribe to my YouTube channel. No, it's not for poetry. That's the conventional side of me, the one who has no devotees. On YouTube, I'm different. The sheer power of my preaching will leave your senses sleeping. Your judgment will be compromised. You will find yourself being hypnotized into following like sheep. And you will worship at my feet, feeding into my deceit as I fill your mind with false belief. How the virus was a hoax and all the doctors and professors have told you a lie to give the government an alibi. And you won't be hard to coax to give me money for my research into how the mask is stealing freedom like some kind of cultish church. So expose the government agenda, expose that rogue Bill Gates, burn down all the 3G, 5G masks, stand side by side with fascist hate, burn the masks and breathe the air. Speak your truth, the state, beware. They're poisoning the water, you know. Each litre from the tap contains 5 drops of mucilin, which starves your brain of oxygen and makes you believe what's good for them. Only my special water, purified in my factory, can protect you from this tyranny. So buy my pure water. Just £5 a bottle. Your confidence respected. Wake up to the tyranny. All major cards accepted. David Icke endorses it. It's an offer that's too good to miss. So get rid of oppressive masks and in the taste of freedom bask. Protect loved ones from the hyped up hoax with my special natural pills. They may look like simple aspirin, but they can cure all ills. No poison from Big Pharma. No side effects, no drama. No need to feel dejected. All major cards accepted. Reject the narrative they feed you, the lies the government need you to believe. To cut the strings that control you, this is what you have to do. For just £300, I can enrol you on my online course to make you wise, called How to Fight Establishment Lies. We will take these tyrants by surprise. Just £300, no applicant rejected, all major credit cards accepted. So burn the masks and breathe the air. Speak your truth, the state, beware. And I will be grateful for all that you can spare. Freedom!
Come on, you need to do better than this. These people think you're taking the piss. You really think this will appeal, gain the seal of approval of those who made the effort to listen to this shit? Sort yourself out, man. Take a deep breath, reconsider your next steps, and introduce a special guest. He can't get any worse. You knew deep down what a disaster this would be, so bring on the aristocracy.
Okay. I'm sorry, aristocracy. Do you remember during the men's Euros a couple of years ago now, when Prince William took George to the games and made him dress in a suit and a tie for a fucking football match? I can tell you George was not at all impressed. You may have seen the photo of him looking like they'd just told him Andrew would be babysitting him if England lost. This was his thinking immediately afterwards.
Good evening. My name is George, or Prince George to you.
I'm 7 years old and the future king. And when I am king, anyone who goes to football making their children wear a tie will be kept in the tower and tortured until they apologise. And if they don't apologise, there will be one last match with their head as the ball. I am probably scarred for life, being made to go to that wonderful example of the beautiful game in a stupid suit and tie. One could smell the genuine working class, especially on their breath. It smelled, I would imagine, by what I'm told, like my grand aunt Margaret smelled when she let herself go. Cigarettes and alcohol, baby, that's the way to live. My sister Charlotte said my great-uncle Andrew weren't like me. I had mixed with the working class. I don't care about that, because I can smell a creep a mile off. But I do think locking him away is bad. I think it's because he went to Pizza Express with the wrong colour tie and embarrassed great-gran. But there's certainly nothing wrong with him mixing with kids. I'm allowed to do it myself sometimes, and I'm born to be king. I don't really understand the problem, but was told not to ask questions. Things will change when I'm king. I won't walk away like Uncle Harry. I'll change this and invite him back. I like the way his hair is a different colour to the rest of us, and he hasn't got that bald patch that seems to be a trademark of the men in my family. I don't understand that, but was told not to ask questions. Father supports Aston Villa. Don't ask me why, I'm told they're hopeless. I told him, when I'm king, I'm going to buy a house in Aston. He muttered some words I didn't understand and said something about outside toilets and comprehensive schools. I don't know what a comprehensive school is, but I'm going to send my teddy bears to one. Father then told me he really supports Chelsea, but it keeps everyone on side if we royals support the underdog. A lot of people don't seem on side to me, but there was no VAR, and after all, Chelsea are underdogs now too. But football is the game for me. Rugger is stupid, and I definitely don't want to go hunting like my great-grandfather who passed away recently. The world seemed to think he was a great man, but let me tell you, if I was meant to be visiting him, I would pretend to be Prime Minister and hide in the fridge. He was so boring. I'm going to leave you with a poem I wrote with the help of the poor people who used to wait on him. It goes like this. I had a great-granddad called Philip. If it moved, he wanted to kill it. Shoot the thing in the head or rip it to shreds. Fuck football, there's blood, let's spill it. Anyway, I've got to go now. Got to meet some close relatives at the polo club. I suppose I'll be expected to marry one of them one day. Oh, here comes Grandad in the limo. Where's the Bentley? I want the Bentley! I want the Bentley! I ain't going in a sodding jag! What will everyone think of me? No, it's cheap tat! No, I'm a future king! I'll break grandma's crying! Oh, shut up, big ears! You'll never be king! That's what Auntie Megan said. Of course, Auntie Megan was wrong. We all know the King Charles Spaniel was so named because it has huge ears and is totally unsuitable to be head of state, just like the real thing. And I'm making progress. I know that was a terrible impression. And there was a time not long ago when that would have halted any hope of progression. People always expect perfection. That's what I thought. And it would have spoilt the fun, but now I know there's worse to come, and I think you'll be laughing with me when it is done. My Queen impression sounded more like Dame Edna Everage with tonsillitis and too much of the beverage. And my David Attenborough sounds more like the Duke of Edinburgh, you know. No life in it at all. So, you just carry on and,
But are you really making that much progress?
Yes, I think I am. I couldn't have done this not long ago.
Yeah, you're better than you were for sure, but how much progress have you really made? I'm privy to your thought process, remember? You may not shrivel up in a ball anymore, but you're still a coward down to the core. What were you doing last night?
No, don't say it, please.
Last night you couldn't sleep, could you? That poem you thought was so funny. It struck home to you, didn't it? You had to rewrite this section because I told you it would get a poor reception if you left it as
Shut
it was.
up!
People who have heard it laugh to be polite. Do you see them here tonight? No, you don't, do you? Why would that be, do you think? Do you think they're scared they may die laughing? Or are they charting your fall from grace, from the guy who seemed funny when there was nothing else to do, to the fool with a loose screw or two, who never really says anything new? Why else would you rewrite it, Clive?
Because I thought it seemed a bit dated now, a bit old hat.
Don't lie! You knew it was crap. I still have you in my grasp. You...
Shut the fuck up! I rewrote it because I had fresh ideas. You tried to convince me I'm fucking weird, but you're losing control of me.
Oh, really? So who are you arguing with now? The Invisible Man? The ghost of Margaret Thatcher? The empty fucking seats? You loser. You creep. I've got you firmly in my grip.
Fuck you. You lie and deceive, but you're a busted flush. You're losing your power. I'm taking control of my...
Dude, you're arguing with your own thoughts. I pity you.
Lying, deceiving, busted flush. Sounds like a bloated toilet brush we all know. Waffle, waffle, ancient Greek, lie, 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 lie. Whiff, waff, bish, bash, bosh, bodies piled high. Dodgy dealing, my own pocket, contracts for my mates. Lying, cheating, journalist beating, bastard offspring in my wake. Oven ready, easy peasy, sold you down the river. All that money for the NHS, but I'm a natural fibber. Recriminations, going gets tough. Cummings lifts the lid. Waffle, waffle, Winston Churchill, I'm hiding in the fridge. Party, 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 lockdown, booze and drugs. Your granny died alone, oh wow, we took you all for mugs. One rule for you, one rule for us. We are the ruling class. If you don't like it, take a hike. Stick your anger up your arse. See? Another impression. Did it sound like him? Did it fuck? Does it matter? No, not at all. You knew who it was. It was Ricky Gervais. But seriously though, Boris Johnson. I mean, the big question is, how in the name of insatiable spunk trumpery did he become Prime Minister in the first place? It's a bigger mystery than what would happen if every time you saw a typo or misheard something, the world magically changed so that what you read or what you thought you heard became reality by magic. And it goes like this. This is a rather random take on what would happen if every single typed mistake changed the world to fit its template. If one letter omitted or added, any others changed or out of place, had a consequence for the human race. We would have violin music by Shaganini, David Bowie with his green weenie, old-time comedy with Scrotum and Wise, Kate Bush's Man with the Chili in his eyes, Boris Bronson snorting lines as he fathers...
This is fucking shit.
Yeah, go. Boris Bronson, where was I? It's always does this.
I told you, this is a waste of time, a pile of shit around one decent line.
Leave me alone, What's the matter with me? Why do I keep having these thoughts?
They're not listening, mate. Look at them. They're not interested in what you have to say. I told you, they don't care about you. They're laughing.
Violin music by...
Hey, listen to me, I'm the poet. You're really...
Shut up!
You're fucking useless. You grew up being told you were useless by your own father. Your ex-wife ridiculed you because of what you are. They know you're the best. You're a waste of space, man. Your family hate you. Your daughter hates you. Everyone hates you.
Violin music.
No one has ever loved you and no one ever will.
David Blue.
You're too
Sit
weak.
down.
Yeah, weak. You think you're driving to Birmingham tomorrow, don't you?
But even...
You know you can't do it, scaredy cat. Weakly. You're there for the taking. Ooh, I'm sweating and shaking. I can't breathe, my chest is tight.
It's called a fucking panic attack, alright? Loads of people have them, just fuck off! Fucking let me get on with my life, just fucking leave me alone, go away!
Call yourself a man? Why do you think you're so lonely? Because you're great company. Yeah, right. Oh yeah, then my mate physical pain will come for you again.
But even in
You should be.
these...
I like the way it makes you feel. I feed on it. It weakens you. I bleed you dry. And you can't explain the pain, can you? I don't believe you.
I just need to get this poem done.
No one cares. Yeah, and remember your childhood?
Yeah, of course I remember my fucking childhood. Who doesn't, you fucking idiot? Just fucking go away. Leave me in peace.
The diagnosis, you silly man. It's all made up, you know. You're pathetic. All you want is to be loved. Yeah, well, tough shit.
Just...
You're unlovable, untouchable. All these people know it. Loser, pathetic, flashback, paddy, useless, mad. And now you've made a fool of yourself to all these people. What a shame. You won't be welcome back again.
End of part 1. So, that's how it is. That may have seemed dramatic, but if you've experienced it, as so many of us have, you know the destructive power of that voice, the one that preys on your insecurity and tries to tie you to the darkest corners of your existence. I doubt it will ever be completely beaten, but I am thankful for the friends who keep it at arm's length and help to rescue me when defences have been breached. The version of me that existed for so long couldn't possibly have done this, told this story in such a way as to bear my soul in between the laughs, because I wouldn't have dared to unleash the laughter. You heard that voice. You heard what it says to me. I'm useless. And I believed that. Then, wouldn't you know it, when I decided to write, I bought a computer with a faulty keyboard. I guess I should have checked, but you know, when you pay 15 quid for a computer on eBay, you don't expect the letters P and F to have been transposed. I mean, that doesn't qualify as good used condition, does it? 15 quid to come up with rubbish like this, when F and P change places. This poem, if that's what it is about nothing in particular, just various bits and feces. I don't like to start with politics, a peeled pull of fistfots and fanatics who couldn't organise a fiss-off in a brewery, and in the case of UK immigration policy, responsible for plenty of fatalities, though I'm sure they will be reported favourably by Fox News and its British equivalent GB News with Nigel Farage and his friends. So let's be more pliffant and talk about sports feeful like Feet Sampras, famous feeful from the fast like Napoleon Bonaparte, or even contemporary feeful like the unfortunately not yet dearly departed Piers Morgan, or Katie Hopkins, who always seems like she's paused a pineapple off her bum. No? Okay, let's talk music. You may have an eclectic taste ranging from the Pooh Fighters through offerers like the Magic Flute, old British hits like XTC's Making Flans Pung Nigel, I'd poison them, wartime classics like Fuck Off Your Troubles, Beatles classics like I Peel Pine, festive songs like A Partridge in a Fear Tree, or even some frog rock. I wish I was musical. I'd go on tour entertaining the peafang public in places like Finland, Portugal, France, and most probably New Poundland. But enough of that. Let's talk food. I'm not sure what to eat today, roast fork and applesauce, or fish and chips. Do I have And if fish and chips, do I have pickled onions or mushy fees? Or do I just have a fucker steak and kidney pie? I'm not saying I eat too much food that's unhealthy and patterning, but my clothes are size trifle XL. Fita feck up pickled pfeffers. What? Plagiarism? Fuck up. Or pock up even. Or I'll punch your lights out. Oh, appended are we? I pray you don't call the felice, the coffers, the pilf, the figs, the pos. Pock the felice! Oh, come on, I was joking. I wouldn't really punch you. I don't approve of fisticuffs or violence of any kind. I'm a fassy pissed. My house has fatio doors. It's a big house. It's rather palatial. With a games room, perfool and fing-fong. Okay, I'm taking the fis. I live in a folky little plat or apartment, if you prefer, among the pheasants. And I'm probably stuck here until the Grim Reaper comes calling. Whatever a reefer is. I mean, I wouldn't know. And I was disgusted at that. I demanded a refund for my £15 or an exchange. And to be fair, they did exchange it. I'm sure they're taking the piss though, because the replacement had a serious problem as well. This time there seems to be some kind of virus which took any number or any syllable in a word that sounded like a number and increased it by 1 in the style of Victor Borge's inflationary language. So, foresight becomes 5-sight, tulips become 3 lips, hatred becomes hinintred, and so on. And I ended up typing this. I used 3 get on well with my neighbour. Then he suddenly accused me of 5-nick-19 with his wife. I wasn't 1.5 angry. I called him a masturbniner, and he properly went 5 me, lunged at me in anger. I hit him over the 5 head with a sharp reel. A passing motorist threated his horn, and I think they called the police, panicked and dialed 10-10-10. The coppers arrived, full blues and 3s. I was arrested and charged with using unreasonable 5s. I was sentenced 3-4 months in prison, but served 1.5 of the sentence, 5 good behaviour. I was released just before last Christmas. You know, that 13-day period when people talk about the 4 wise men and 5's ridiculous amounts of food and drink inside themselves. On 539ly, I 9 all this nonsense. I celebrated my release by going 3 a burger place, not 6 guys, way 3 expensive, and enjoying a 1 1/4 pounder with a glass of 8 up. Now, my eyesight is not perfect. I definitely don't have 21/21 vision. I'm a bit of a specky 5 eyes, but I'd swear the bloke opposite me was the England rugby player, Billy 13trees. Then this German guy approached me and said, "Sprechen Sie Deutsch?" I said 10. That confused him. I went home and listened through a Spotify playlist consisting of some classics from the 61s, the 71s and the 81s. Love Me Lavender by Elvis, Ruby Three's Day by the Rolling Stones, You're the Two That I Want from Greece, Tricycle Race by Queen, Swords of 1001 Men by 11 Pole Three Door. Now, I'm going 3 walk my 5-legged K10 friend Rover, get some exercise, 3 get myself a 7-pack. Then I've got some books 3 read. The Triography of Archbishop Desmond 3 and 2 about the curse of Tutankhamun's Thream. Someone told me when I second performed this, they examined it forensically and it was garbage. So it was back 3 square 2. Second and 5 most, it must be funny. I tutor if this version is better. Thank you, and Threedle Pip. I was disappointed, disgusted. I don't believe this pucking dickhead should be allowed 3 advertise on eBay. But I guess I need to be more fastidious with my purchases, inspect the goods, be pive farting with my money. Anyway, I've got a decent computer now. So in general, I'm happier now than I've ever been in my life, but sometimes things get to me, you know, and I'm a bit ashamed of myself. I try to be nice and polite with anyone except Tory shite, but last week I lost it, had a hissy fit, went a little bit over the top, had a strop and couldn't stop ranting. I was abusive to my smartphone. Why? Why? It wouldn't connect to the sodding Wi-Fi. I wanted to stream some sci-fi, but it wouldn't access the fucking Wi-Fi. As God is my alibi. I tried to stay calm. I meant no harm, but I was so frustrated I could have cried. I kept asking it for the code. Please enter the passcode. Please enter the passcode. I didn't know the fucking passcode, and I was getting into angry mode. How the fuck would I know the passcode for the Wi-Fi in the flat below? I threw my phone across the room, swept the bits up with the broom, and sorted out my spare. That would do the trick, I thought, but to my despair there was no access on there, no connection of any sort. So I swallowed my pride, knocked on the door, and asked him to confide the code to his fucking Wi-Fi. In retrospect, swearing was unwise. He seemed a little bit surprised, dropped the C-bomb that he so despised, and punched me right between the eyes. I went down in a crumpled heap and had a short, unscheduled sleep. At least the hospital ward had Wi-Fi. But I had no phone to watch the sci-fi. Eating meals through a straw. The days in there were such a bore. The one thing I've learnt from this: if you want to use your neighbour's router, break in and steal the fucking computer. So, like I said, I've got a decent computer now. He had the contents insurance, so he's okay, and I can stream all the sci-fi I want. And of course, I've got access to Google. They say you can find anything on Google, but I'm not so sure. It's never explained the meaning of life to me. Not that I'm sure I'd want to know anyway, but some people do seek the answers to big issues, like the meaning of life or what happens to us when we die. To them, my issues are small fry, insignificant in the scheme of things, and I have to confess that stings, because I may not be intellectual, my grey cells are somewhat ineffectual when deep thought is deemed essential, but to me, the small things matter more. Like, what are wasps actually for? They get mildly angry and it's all out war. You try to repel them and they sting you to fuck. Then they do it one more time for luck. They show no compassion, not one little bit. The barbarous, pointless, stripy shits. When I want to appear clever, I step it up a level and I ask questions like, why is a fear of long words known as hippopotamonstrosis quipedaliophobia? It really is. I mean, what sort of sadistic bastard thought hippopotamonstrosis quipedaliophobia was a suitable word for a fear of long words? I mean, for fuck's sake. If music be the food of love, are cheese quavers an aphrodisiac? Is there such a thing as cheese semi-quavers to give a quick thrill? Because if so, toss one my way, if you will. On the subject of food, does a fruit fly count as one of your 5 a day? I have my doubts, but if it does, I can ditch the sprouts, because they're not veggies. It's a well-known fact. They are Beelzebub's scrotal sack. And it's not just food that fascinates me. Other things I need to know include, is a really hard Englishman in Australia called a pomegranate? If I wrote a book on the history of censorship, would they try to ban it? Is David Icke for real, goddammit? If a murder of crows didn't mean to get together, are they a manslaughter? Do water polo players ride seahorses? Are you lot bored stiff or is it rigor mortis? If you buy a wok on the internet, is it an Ewok? When it arrives, are you in for a shock? And when they assess the age of a dinosaur fossil, is it even remotely possible to know if it used anti-aging creams? I mean, calculations go all to hell if it used those products by L'Oreal, because we all know they work. But the question that concerns me most may come as a surprise. If you stick your head down the toilet, which is not very wise, do you get floaters in your eyes? To be honest, I think I've got floaters in my eyes because everything looks shit. They call what's happening progress. This relentless march, state-of-the-art tech that's obsolete almost before you get it home. Everything must be new, everything must be better. But is it? Fuck's sake, if something works, just let it be. Everything always has to change. You just get used to how it is and it's rearranged. Your favourite website's just fine, then the bastards redesign it. Why can't things remain the same until I die? It's happened throughout the ages. Everything changes and everyone rages. Why can't we just stand still? We know where we are. We know what to do. Why change the old for the thrill of the new? I mean, take for example the cinema. Why did we need to hear actors speak? Hear sound effects? It's criminal. How they killed the simplicity of the silent film. Where Charlie Chaplin kicked coppers up the arse, Laurel and Hardy banged heads together in slapstick farce, and Harold Lloyd's fingertips saved him from carking it. But then, why have cinema at all? Theatre was the real thing. Proper people standing tall, adored by those looking on from the stalls. You got there in your horse and cart and enjoyed the experience. Wore your top hat and tails or one of the variants of the clothes of the day, because everyone lived this way before they started tinkering. Made transport with wings or, at the very least, engines, in a needless effort to improve things. I mean, okay, so when you got smallpox or rickets or tuberculosis or neurosis or phlebitis or thrombosis, it was a bit inconvenient. But there was a plentiful supply of leeches if you could get to the apothecary, so there would be no need for proper medicine, that foolish, impossible prophecy. Why did we ever change a thing? What good did it bring? I mean, my great-granddad could have bought a house for £5 and still had change for furniture and fish and chips. But although he was clever, he didn't have 2 farthings to rub together. Slept in his uncle's coal hole and worked up the chimney at 7 years old. He certainly didn't want change to take hold. And fast forward to now, our ancestors would be awestruck at how we live, the brilliance humanity can give. But how have we used it? The earth is expiring because we abused it. So many children are starving or dying of preventable diseases or being bombed to shit by the Israelis. People still being killed through ruling class greed, endless wars and unspeakable deeds. But let's not change. There is no need. And the sentiments of that poem, the confusion as to whether change is good or bad, match how confused I feel about where I stand. Am I funny, or do people just humour me? Can I ever be sure if they laugh with me or at me? I don't know what to make of it. Sometimes I think I'm winning, then my head is spinning back to darkness with the face of rejection grinning through the gloom. I go from freedom to imprisonment in the blink of an eye, like Prince Andrew searching for an alibi to keep me in the light. Unlike him, I sweat as certainty is swept away. My accusers are not kept at bay by clever lawyers buying time, clever lawyers buying silence, because they're in my head as reminders of my crime, the story of my life being useless and boring and anodyne, and probably using too much rhyme and not scanning properly is probably also a bit of a problem. But to paraphrase Winston Churchill, circa 1941, bollocks to negativity, there's a battle to be won. And at least I won't have to bomb the fucking shit out of Dresden. Mention of Prince Andrew there reminds me that I often perform as other people, regardless of whether I actually sound like them, as you heard earlier. Most notably, Andrew's mother. I learned the hard way that going overboard with the Queen stuff was short-sighted. I wrote a whole show as the Queen, taking the piss out of Philip. Then Philip got clean bowled on 99. And the whole show was as obsolete as a 2-year-old iPhone. Though, clean bowled for 99 is an appropriate cricketing metaphor because his middle stump hadn't been upright since the weekly visits of Margaret Thatcher. The Queen often fantasised about doing common jobs and used to practice greyhound commentaries watching races with the sound turned down. And she used to appear at my shows to earn a few bob towards the Rehabilitate Andrew GoFundMe. But for obvious reasons, she can't now. So this is an impression. You probably won't be able to tell the difference, but this is an impression. This was her commentary for one race that she was commentating on. The hare is on the move. Pity it isn't a real one. And they're off. 3 traps fast like Andrew being pursued by the feds. Trap 1, Bojo Boris slow to react as always. So 3 leads going into the first bend. 5 and 6 have a right royal bumping match like Harry and Will's at a family gathering. 3 leads, 2 is in hot pursuit like a Spencer chasing a royal husband. Then came 4, 5 and 6 and a slow starting 1. They head up the back straight and 2 catches the early leader and looks in a strong position. But she's got tangled up with trap 4, James Hewitt, giving 5 a chance at claiming the prize. Trap 5, Mick Camilla, takes it up and powers away from the pack. 1 is making some grind but has left it way too late as always. 5 is going to win this by the length of Phillips' ego. 5 wins, 4 runs on for second, and to be honest, who gives a flying fuck who came third? If you'd backed it, you haven't got as much money as you had a minute ago. Food bank for you. Bye. And it's common knowledge in royal circles that one morning she woke up and just burst into song. It went like this. What do you do with a song called Andrew? What do you do with a song called Andrew? What do you do with a song called Andrew? When he's being naughty. Stick him in a cupboard when the schools break up. Oh, stick him in a cupboard when the schools break up. Oh, stick him in a cupboard when the schools break up and throw away the key. Or put him in a prison and have him murdered. Put him in a prison and have him murdered. Put him in a prison and have him murdered, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, it's not just royalty that gets into my sets. Common people make it too. And this is a poem by a sun reader. Love Thy Neighbour was a comedy classic. Donald Trump is not a fascist. White privilege does not exist. I ignored the lockdown, went out, got pissed. Brexit's fucking great for us. We won, you lost, suck it up. Amazon chops the trees down in it, but who cares? They delivered in lockdown, dimwit. Boris was prime ministerial. Benny Hill stole my material. Too many foreigners in our cities. 4, fuck me, look at them titties. Geordie Shore was great TV. Sting like a butterfly, float like a bee. Climate change just isn't real. Greta Thunderbird is an imbecile. Maggie Thatcher was a kindly soul. Jeremy Corbyn, fucking arsehole. Johnny Foreigner claiming oil. Just how on earth are we supposed to stop 'em? Deploy the forces, bish bash bosh. Them foreigners don't like it up 'em. Rule Britannia. Britannia rules the waves. It's just the way of things. Close the borders, fuck off Europe, and God save the King. Because you have to love how common people revere someone born into privilege who probably wouldn't consider them good enough to feed to the corgis. And then, of course, there's those wonderful elderly gammons who voted for Brexit out of nostalgia for empire and steam trains. I'm old and I'm lame and I'm riddled with pain. It's old Father Time's biggest curse. Can't walk very far, can't drive a car, and my piles are fit to burst. I don't see my grandkids, and that's quite handy because they're always causing a ruckus. They've got no manners and would drive me bananas, the miserable bunch of fuckers. When I was their age, I was filled with rage as I went to work up the chimney. They don't know they're born, treat the old uns with scorn and have no respect for family. Yes, I voted for Brexit, and they didn't expect it. Now they fight for fuel and food. I fucked up their lives, so I shouldn't be surprised that they are sullen and rude. If they think they'll get cash when I'm turned to ash, they're in for a nasty surprise. With the cost of heating, my fortune's depleting, 'cause I fell for Tory lies. I've nothing to spare once I've paid for my care. My house isn't mine anymore. We took back control, but Boris, the arsehole, was a charlatan to the core. Sorry, kids. Ah, yes. Good old Brexit. The result of a political system that left a pathological liar, serial adulterer and father of an army of bastards in number 10 Downing Street. Because he promised us better shaped bananas and Farage's wet dream. But at least he wasn't Liz Truss, eh? What we need now is a new political party. A party of the people. Because Labour certainly ain't the party of the people anymore. And this is a party election broadcast by the Turquoise Party. Good evening. The Turquoise Party is the new party set to break the mould of British politics. Why vote for us? Well, unless you're very rich, none of the boring old parties have done anything for you recently, have they? Let's face it, the Tories suck cock. Labour are Tories, and the Lib Dems are in danger of being sucked, because they are a bunch of cocks. Wishy-washy wannabes who couldn't organise a fry-up in a greasy spoon, but have snazzy beards and sandals. Greens? Fuck off, they'll never win a majority. We in the Turquoise Party say it as it is in plain language that the common person can relate to. That this country is fucked, and those arseholes fucked it, or plan to fuck it, or are metaphorical 40-year-old virgins who will never get a sniff of fucking it. So, what's so different about us? Do we have policies to snuff out the parasitic twats that are bankrupt of ideas? You bet your sweaty balls we do. We're on your side. Our radical manifesto will make a difference to the working poor, to the environment and to wildlife. We won't fuck about. We'll keep our pledges. And these pledges include free high-vis jackets for all hedgehogs. Really? Yeah. Okay. Improvements to our road network to include the ending of the barbaric use of cat's eyes in favour of a more ethical alternative in radioactive radishes. Making free Esperanto lessons available to all animals in order to encourage more harmonious relations between the species. The setting up of events in which foxes are invited to hunt Jacob Rees-Mogg and do their thing when they catch him. But we're not all about the animals. We are the party of the people. We propose an increase of £1 to the state pension for every lie Boris Johnson ever told. We will give all disabled people a free Tesla, with all modifications paid for by Elon Musk. This will give the old scrote something to moan about on Twitter, or X, as he calls it now he's ruined it. Starbucks coffee will be available free on prescription to low-income families until the company pays its fucking taxes. Similarly, Vodafone will be forced to offer free contracts to the unemployed and to minimum wage earners. The monarchy will be abolished, and all the palaces given to crazy cat ladies, once the cats can speak Esperanto. We will clamp down on the use of Class A drugs by searching Tories before granting them entry to the Houses of Parliament. But most crucially, we will make it illegal to be Piers Morgan. So vote for change. Vote for the good of the people. Vote turquoise. So, there you have it. I may still suffer self-doubt, but the love and support of the spoken word community has led me to do things I would never have attempted not that long ago. To go for laughs, even when I know that what I'm doing is absurd. And I'm going to close this show, firstly with the story of a bad day I suffered recently, and then by completing the poem that was drowned out by that voice at the end of the first half, to show that whatever obstacles you have to overcome, anything is possible if you believe it is. So first of all, that bad day. You think you had a bad day? The day started well enough. The sun was streaming through my bedroom window, and I had a day off work, a rare luxury for a Monday. I was just beginning to think the day couldn't get any better when my Tory voting brother texted me saying his dog had dumped elephantine amounts of shit on his brand new carpet, and he had trodden in it, in his bare feet. And the dog had laughed at him. I can't help thinking he may have been exaggerating somewhat about both the amount of excrement involved and the dog's reaction, but one can hope. Unfortunately, things went downhill from there. Firstly, I heard my sister had been found not guilty of drug smuggling and was free to come home. Then, in my confused state, I brushed my teeth with hemorrhoid cream. I had wondered why my bum smelled minty. I soon found out. Not to be outdone by its canine cousin, my pet elephant suffered somewhat for last night's vindaloo. I managed not to stand in the resulting mess, but tripped over his walking stick and landed in his head first. At this point, I decided to go back to bed. I probably should have washed my hair first, but I was gone past caring, and the supply of water had been cut off. Things continued to conspire against me. I woke up to the sound of Nigel Farage on the radio, jumped out of bed, and in my desperation to get away from this hideous sound, I broke my foot in 2 places, on the stairs and in the shed. To cap it all, I had some terrible news. When I finally opened my letters, there was confirmation that my greatest fear had become reality. There I was, hobbling about with a broken foot, my hair matted with elephant dung, my sister on her way back home, a free woman, a mouth full of Anusol and an anus full of Colgate Total, thinking I'd reached the nadir, when it was confirmed that the tests proved irrefutably that I am Boris Johnson's love child. Fuck my life. So that brings us to the final poem, and this time I will complete it. And this is a rather random take on what would happen if every single type mistake changed the world to fit its template. If one letter omitted or added, any others changed or out of place, had a consequence for the human race. We would have violin music by Shaganini, David Blowie with his green weenie, old-time comedy from Scrotum and Wise, Kate Bush's Man with the Chili in his eyes, Boris Bronson snorting lines as he fathers bastards and spouts his lies, MPs from the gory party going to work to get high on Charlie. But even in these strangest of times, we need to get tough on rhyme and on the causes of rhyme. Simon and Garfunkel's greatest hits would include The Sound of Violence, Here's to You, Mrs. Robinson, and Bridge Over Troubled Walter. Now, I don't know why Walter is troubled or even who he is, but it seems somewhat harsh to stick him under a bridge. We would have an ABBA musical called Gonorrhea, and some wonderful movies as if the originals needed improving, like 101 Damnations, a hell of a film, I'm sure you'll agree. Then the 39 Sheps, where Cruella decided the change of breed would just as well fulfil a need. And Neil Diamond in The Jazz Slinger is a real humdinger. In The Jizz Slinger is a real humdinger. Joseph and his amazing testicular dreamboat, whatever that may be about. And Inglorious Bat-Turds, about a flying mammal that met Ozzy Osbourne and crapped itself with nerves. There would be a tennis champion called Novak's Floppy Dick. We would have criminal Spice Girls called Felony B and Felony C. Kylie singing I Could Be So Mucky. Muse singing about a supermassive asshole. And that's not all. Kids would hear Humpty Dumpty shat on the wall. There would be a black country killer called the Boston Strangler, and Gordon Brown is a song by the Danglers. A bit of hard work never hurt anyone, though this I doubt. One over the head and your lights would be out. A bird in the hand is worth 2 on the bus, I concede. A friend in need is a fiend indeed. Liverpool fans singing You'll Never Wank Alone. The butcher giving his dog a boner. Putin interfered in Trump's election and probably causing nasty infection, and I heard Harry Potter's goblet of fire appeared to be up for hire. How much? If you ever have to ask the prick, he can't afford it, Squire. I think this poem is the dog's bollocks. Others will call it puppycock. But on one thing we can all agree. Too many cocks really do spoil the broth. And you could end up with cheesy bunion sandwiches and a packet of clitoris all sorts. Thank you very much. And I think I made more mistakes in that hour and a quarter than I've ever made in the show in the whole time, but there you go.
Magnificent, Clive. That was magnificent.
Well,
Please come off mute, show your appreciation for Clive's.
I'll put you off spotlight, buddy, as well.
Okay.
There you go, mate.
Amazing performance.
Fantastic, Clive.
Imagine I've got 10
Oh my God.
Well done.
Oh,
Thank you.
Amazing. Amazing.
Just absolutely brilliant.
I was looking at people's faces whilst you were performing and just the reactions. The right reactions.
Yeah, to be honest, that was the reason for one of my mistakes. I made the mistake of looking what was in the chat because it had just come up and it threw me.
I hate when that happens. See, I always try and cover it with my documents. That's how stops it. Yeah. I'm going to hit stop on record. And then we can just breathe, everybody, and you can tell Clive what a fucking legend he is. But yes.